Dr. Zara Vex had seen countless species pass through the Galactic Science Institute's medical screening chamber, but something about Subject 139's readings made her auxiliary hearts skip a beat. The human female sitting patiently in the examination pod showed biological markers that defied everything she knew about evolutionary physics. "Run the baseline scan again," Zara commanded the facility's AI, her crystalline appendages shifting colors with growing excitement. The human, Sarah Chen, according to her documentation, simply sat there reading something on her personal device, completely unaware that she was about to turn the scientific community upside down. "Secondary scan complete," the AI announced. "Results consistent with initial findings. Subject displays Class 12 cellular regeneration, multispectrum adaptive immunity, and quantum-stable genetic code." Zara's primary eyes widened while her secondary set narrowed in concentration. Class 12 regeneration was theoretical. It shouldn't exist outside of computer models. Yet here sat this human, casually playing something called Candy Crush, while her cells performed impossible feats of biological engineering. "Ms. Chen," Zara activated the communication field, trying to keep her voice steady. "How do you feel about participating in some additional tests?" "For science." Sarah looked up from her game, brushing a strand of black hair from her face. "Sure, why not? As long as I still get paid for the extra time. These student loans won't pay themselves." If Zara had possessed conventional lips, she would have smiled. Instead, her crystalline form sparkled with anticipation. "Payment will not be an issue. Please follow the guide light to Laboratory 7. As Sarah walked down the pristine white corridor, Zara frantically composed a message to the Institute's board of directors. They needed to know that everything they thought they understood about biological evolution was about to change. The observation chamber of Laboratory 7 hummed with energy as more scientists arrived. Dr. Kirks, the Institute's leading expert in xenobiology, his insectoid form practically vibrating with curiosity. Professor Yeleni, whose gaseous consciousness swirled in complex patterns indicating deep thought. Even Director Omega, an ancient energy being, manifested to witness the proceedings. "Beginning standard resistance test," Zara announced, her voice carrying the proper scientific detachment despite her growing excitement. "Introducing cellular degradation agent Alpha-1." The chamber filled with a fine purple mist. On any other species, it would cause immediate cellular breakdown. Sarah sneezed. "Bless you," the AI offered helpfully. "Thanks," Sarah replied, returning to her game. "Is it allergy season on this station? Because I forgot to pack my antihistamines." The assembled scientists exchanged meaningful glances, or whatever passed for glances among their varied physiologies. Dr. Kirks's mandibles clicked rapidly in their species' expression of astonishment. "Subject shows no signs of cellular degradation," Zara noted for the record. "In fact, her immune system appears to be," cataloging the agent's structure. Professor Yeleni's gaseous form condensed slightly in shock. "Impossible. The human immune system is actively creating a database of potential responses to Alpha-1. It's learning." "Proceeding to resistance test Beta 3, Zora continued, her professional tone barely masking her amazement. The purple mist was replaced by a green one. This agent was designed to unravel DNA chains like pulling threads from a garment. Sarah yawned. "Sorry," she said, looking slightly embarrassed. "Long day at the lab. I'm doing my PhD in biochemistry, and sometimes these screening sessions are the only chance I get to catch up on my gaming." Director Omega's energy form pulsed with what might have been laughter. Here was a being casually playing games while her body casually rewrote the laws of biological science. As the tests continued, it became clear that Sarah's immune system wasn't just resistant to their agents, it was actively studying them, adapting to them, and in some cases, improving upon their design. Her cells displayed an intelligence that bordered on consciousness, working in concert to not just survive, but thrive under conditions that should have been lethal. Final notation for today's session. Zara recorded, her crystalline form now glowing with barely contained excitement. Subject 139 has demonstrated unprecedented biological capabilities. Recommendation: immediate classification as a Class X species and formation of dedicated research team. Additional note: subject's primary concern throughout testing appeared to be achieving a new high score in her mobile game. As Sarah prepared to leave, she turned to Zara. Same time next week. This has been way more relaxing than my usual study breaks. Yes, Zora confirmed, her voice carrying a hint of awe. Though next time, we might need to think bigger. After Sarah left, Director Omega's energy form coalesced into a more focused pattern. Contact the Council, the ancient being commanded. Tell them we'd found something unprecedented. It seems humanity has been conducting their own evolutionary experiments, whether they knew it or not. The implications were staggering. If one human showed such capabilities, what might the species as a whole be capable of? What forces on their death world of a planet had forged such resilience? And most importantly, what would it mean for the future of galactic science? As the day's data was compiled and transmitted to secure servers, one thing became clear. The galaxy would never be the same after discovering what humanity had achieved through nothing more than survival on their seemingly insignificant world. The Galactic Science Institute's High Council chamber had never been so crowded. Representatives from 17 different research divisions crowded the crystalline amphitheater, their varied physiologies creating a living tableau of evolutionary diversity. At the center of it all stood Dr. Zara Vex, her presentation on Subject 139. Sarah Chen, drawing gasps and murmurs of disbelief. As you can see, Zora projected the latest test results, her crystalline form refracting light, in patterns of scientific excitement. The human immune response doesn't just adapt to threats, it anticipates them. It's as if their cellular structure operates on a predictive model we've never seen before. Director Omega's energy form pulsed with interest. Show them the quantum resonance data. The holographic display shifted, showing cellular activity at the quantum level. Sarah's cells seemed to dance across multiple probability states simultaneously, existing in a superposition of adaptation that defied conventional biology. Remarkable. Professor Ulani's gaseous form swirled thoughtfully. Their entire biological system operates like a quantum computer, processing countless potential threats and responses simultaneously. But how? Dr. Kirks clicked his mandibles in excitement. We need to expand the testing parameters. With the subject's consent, of course. Sarah's reaction to their expanded testing proposal proved as surprising as her biology. You want to expose me to more advanced bioagents? Cool. Can I get credit for this as an independent study? My research advisor is pretty flexible. The next phase of testing began immediately. Laboratory 7 was upgraded with quantum-sensitive monitoring equipment and reality anchors to ensure accurate readings. Sarah sat in the enhanced examination pod, still playing her mobile games, while the most advanced biological agents in known space were introduced to her system. Deploying Nexus Strain Alpha, Zara announced. The air shimmed with a silver mist that existed in 11 dimensions simultaneously. Most species would have their atomic structure completely reorganized. Sarah sneezed twice. Sorry about that, she said, reaching for a tissue. My sinuses are a bit sensitive today. By the way, is anyone else seeing fractals? Because they're pretty cool. The monitoring equipment exploded with data. Sarah's immune system wasn't just fighting the Nexus strain. It was rewriting it, improving it, turning it into something entirely new. Impossible, Dr. Kirks chittered, all 4 arms working frantically at different control panels. Her cells are treating our most advanced bioagent like a training program. They're learning from it. Professor Ulani condensed in shock as new readings appeared. The quantum resonance, it's harmonizing. The human cellular structure is achieving quantum coherence with the strain. This shouldn't be possible in a macro-scale biological system. Sarah looked up from her game. Hey, is it normal that I can suddenly understand quantum physics? Because I think my cells just solved the unified field theory. The laboratory erupted into controlled chaos. Scientists rushed to record and verify the unprecedented data while Sarah's cells continued to casually rewrite the laws of physics and biology. Director Omega's energy form expanded with what might have been excitement or concern. We need to understand the implications. If one human can do this, then humanity as a species might be on the verge of an evolutionary leap that could reshape the galaxy. Zara finished the thought, her crystalline form pulsing with the weight of the revelation. As the day's testing concluded, Sarah gathered her things, seemingly unaffected by experiences that would have fundamentally altered any other known species. Same time tomorrow. I think I'm finally getting the hang of this quantum stuff. My cells are pretty excited about it. After she left, the scientific team gathered to review the data. The implications were staggering. Humanity's apparent evolutionary path wasn't just unique, it was revolutionary. Their adaptation mechanism operated on principles that bordered on the impossible, suggesting either incredible luck or design. Director Omega pulsed thoughtfully, not by any intelligence we know, but by the fundamental forces of their death world itself. Earth hasn't just created survivors, it's created something entirely new. Zara began composing her report to the Galactic Science Council, knowing that her words would soon reshape the understanding of life itself. As she worked, her monitors continued displaying the ongoing changes in Sarah's cellular structure, changes that suggested this was only the beginning. The question was no longer whether humanity would change the galaxy, but how soon and how profoundly. And somewhere in Laboratory 7, a few remaining particles of Nexus strain Alpha continued their dance with human DNA, weaving patterns that would echo across the cosmos. The warning klaxons in Laboratory 7 screamed to life as reality itself seemed to buckle. Sarah Chen's cellular structure was doing something that, according to every known law of physics, should have torn the fabric of space-time apart. Instead, she was drawing molecular diagrams in the air with her finger, seemingly pulling the information directly from her rapidly evolving consciousness. Fascinating, she mused, sketching complex atomic structures in glowing light. Did you know that quantum entanglement works differently if you approach it from a biological perspective? My cells just figured it out. Dr. Zara Vex's crystalline form flickered with alarm as she monitored the readings. Director Omega, the subject's neural activity is approaching Class X consciousness levels. We've never seen this kind of acceleration in any species, the ancient energy being pulsed with concern. Perhaps we should consider suspending the tests. The ethical implications. The ethical implications are exactly why we need to continue. Dr. Kirks interrupted, his mandibles clicking rapidly. Look at what she's drawing. Those aren't just molecular diagrams. They're solutions to problems we've been struggling with for millennia. Sarah had moved on from drawing to actually manipulating the air molecules around her, restructuring them at the quantum level. Hey, I think I just invented a new element. Is that okay? Should I file some kind of patent? Professor Eulanie's gaseous form swirled in patterns of absolute astonishment. She's not just adapting anymore. Her entire biological structure is evolving in real time, pushing the boundaries of what we thought possible. The observation chamber had become crowded with scientists from every division, all drawn by the unprecedented readings emanating from Laboratory 7. Sarah's cells weren't just learning from the various agents they'd been exposed to. They were synthesizing that knowledge into something entirely new. Beginning final sequence, Zara announced, her professional tone masking her growing concern. Introducing the Omega Catalyst. The air in the chamber shimmed as the most advanced biological agent ever created was released. The Omega Catalyst was designed to accelerate evolution itself, but had proven too unstable for practical use, until now. Sarah looked up from her impromptu quantum physics lesson, her eyes now showing traces of an inner light that hadn't been there before. Oh, this is interesting. It's like my cells are having a conversation with it. They're saying, hold on, let me translate from quantum The monitoring equipment suddenly registered a massive spike in energy readings. Sarah's cellular structure wasn't just interacting with the Omega catalyst, it was directing it, reshaping it, turning it into something entirely new. Remarkable. Director Omega pulsed, their energy form expanding with excitement. She's not just surviving the catalyst, she's teaching it new tricks. Dr. Kirks's readings showed something even more extraordinary. The quantum field harmonics. They're stabilizing. She solved the fundamental instability in the Omega catalyst's design, something our best minds couldn't accomplish in centuries. Sarah stood up, her body now surrounded by a subtle glow. I think I understand now. Evolution isn't just about adaptation or survival. It's about conversation, a dialogue between life and the universe itself. We've been thinking too linearly about it all. Sarah's crystalline form vibrated with a mixture of awe and concern. Sarah, your consciousness readings are off the charts. How do you feel? Like I'm finally starting to see clearly, Sarah replied, her voice carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate with the fabric of reality itself. Did you know that there's a whole layer of existence we've been missing? It's beautiful. The laboratory's AI suddenly chimed in with an urgent warning. Warning. Subject's biological structure is approaching quantum coherence with fundamental forces. Unknown consequences possible. Professor Ulani condensed rapidly in alarm. We need to make a decision. Do we continue with the experiment, knowing we're in uncharted territory, or do we stop now? Sarah answered before anyone else could. We continue. This isn't just about me or even humanity anymore. What's happening here could change our understanding of life itself. She paused, a slight smile playing across her illuminated features. Besides, my student loans are still waiting, and this has got to count for extra credit. Director Omega's energy form pulsed with what might have been pride. The subject is right. We're witnessing something unprecedented, the birth of a new kind of existence. As the Omega catalyst continued its dance with Sarah's evolving biology, the assembled scientists watched in wonder and trepidation. They had sought to understand human resilience, but instead found themselves witnesses to what might be the next step in universal evolution. Sarah continued her quantum calculations in the air, her consciousness now operating on levels that the monitoring equipment could barely register. You know, she said casually, I think I just figured out how to make pizza at the quantum level. Anyone hungry? The future of galactic science was changing before their eyes, and somehow, humanity's remarkable ability to face the extraordinary with casual humor remained intact. In Laboratory 7, amid the swirling energies of evolution itself, a new chapter in the story of life was being written, one quantum interaction at a time. Laboratory 7 had been reconfigured into a quantum containment chamber, its walls now lined with reality stabilizers and dimensional anchors. Sarah Chen floated 3 feet off the ground, surrounded by a corona of shifting light that seemed to bend the very fabric of space around her. The transformation had begun. Energy readings are beyond measurable scales. Dr. Zora Vex reported, her crystalline form pulsing with intense frequencies. Her cellular structure is achieving quantum coherence across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Director Omega's energy form expanded to encompass half the observation chamber. In all my centuries of existence, I never expected to witness something like this. She's not just evolving. She's redefining what evolution means. Sarah's voice echoed with harmonics that seemed to resonate with the fundamental forces of the universe. It's like seeing everything at once. Every possibility, every potential path of evolution. She paused, grinning. Also, I finally beat that impossible level on Candy Crush. Dr. Kirks's mandibles clicked rapidly as he analyzed the incoming data. The Omega catalyst has fully merged with her biological systems, but she's controlling it, directing it. It's as if her DNA has learned to speak the language of quantum mechanics. The air around Sarah shimmered with mathematical equations that wrote themselves in light, complex formulae that described the very nature of existence. Professor Eulaine's gaseous form swirled in patterns of pure academic ecstasy. "Look at these equations," the professor exclaimed. "She's not just understanding quantum biology. She's rewriting its fundamental principles. The implications for medical science alone are staggering." Sarah raised her hand, and a three-dimensional model of DNA appeared before her, but not like any DNA the scientists had ever seen. This was DNA that existed in multiple states simultaneously, that could adapt and evolve in real time, that could rewrite itself based on quantum probability. "I think I understand now," Sarah said, her voice carrying undertones that made the reality anchors hum in sympathy. Human evolution wasn't random. Earth itself was preparing us for this moment. Every disease, every environmental challenge, every struggle for survival, they were all steps in a larger pattern. The monitoring equipment suddenly registered a massive surge in quantum activity. Sarah's cellular structure was no longer just communicating with the fundamental forces of the universe. It was becoming one with them. Incredible. Director Omega pulsed. Her consciousness is expanding beyond conventional spacetime. She's accessing knowledge that should be impossible for any biological entity to comprehend. Sarah turned to face the observation window, her eyes now containing what looked like miniature galaxies. "Did you know that the space between atoms is actually filled with infinite potential? Watch this." With a gesture, she caused the air molecules around her to reconfigure themselves into complex crystalline structures that defied known physics. The laboratory's AI began spouting warning messages in 17 different languages before giving up and playing what it considered appropriate music for witnessing the birth of a new form of life. "Should we be concerned?" Dr. Kirks asked, his exoskeleton vibrating with a mixture of fear and excitement. "The power she's displaying, it could reshape the galaxy." Zara's crystalline form sparkled with sudden insight. "That's exactly what's supposed to happen. We didn't just discover human potential. We discovered the next step in universal evolution." Sarah nodded, her movement leaving trails of quantum probability in the air. "Evolution isn't just about survival anymore. It's about transcendence. But don't worry," she added with a very human wink, "I still need to finish my PhD first. Though I suppose quantum biology gives me a bit of an unfair advantage now." The assembled scientists watched in awe as Sarah continued to explore her new capabilities. She wasn't just breaking the laws of physics. She was revealing that those laws had been incomplete all along. Human biology had somehow evolved to access a deeper level of reality, one that held the potential for infinite adaptation and growth. "One question," Sarah said, casually rearranging quantum probabilities with a wave of her hand. "Does this count as publishing? Because my advisor was really pushing for me to get something into a peer-reviewed journal this semester." Director Omega's energy form pulsed with what might have been laughter. "My dear, I believe you've just redefined what peer review means. The real question is, what happens next?" As if in answer, the quantum field around Sarah pulsed with new energy. The next phase of evolution was beginning, and with it, the galaxy would never be the same. In Laboratory 7, amid the swirling energies of transformation, humanity's potential was finally being realized, one quantum leap at a time. And somewhere in the background, the laboratory's AI continued playing its carefully selected soundtrack for universal transformation. Having decided that such a momentous occasion deserved an appropriately epic musical accompaniment, the Galactic Council's Grand Chamber had never hosted such a diverse assembly. Representatives from every known spacefaring civilization crowded the vast amphitheater, their varied forms creating a living tapestry of evolution. At the center of it all stood Sarah Chen, her presence causing the very fabric of reality to ripple with possibility. As you can see, Dr. Zara Vex addressed the assembly, her crystalline form glowing with barely contained excitement. What we witnessed in Laboratory 7 wasn't just an evolutionary leap. It was the awakening of potential that exists within all human DNA. Sarah demonstrated by gently lifting her hand, causing strands of quantum probability to weave through the air like luminous threads. The assembled representatives gasped, their various physiologies expressing awe in 1,000 different ways. "The interesting thing," Sarah said, her voice carrying harmonics that made the universal translators sing, "is that this was always possible. Humanity didn't just evolve this ability. We discovered it. It was hidden in the space between our atoms, in the quantum dance of our cells." Director Omega's energy form pulsed with agreement. "Our initial tests revealed something extraordinary, but none of us could have predicted this. Human biology doesn't just adapt to survive. It adapts to transcend." Professor Yulani's gaseous form swirled in complex patterns of scientific excitement. "The implications are staggering. If one human could achieve this level of quantum coherence, then others can follow." Sarah completed the thought. "But it's not just about humans. What we've discovered is a universal principle. Life itself has more potential than we ever imagined." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of discussion, debate, and wonder. Some representatives expressed concern about the implications of such power, while others saw the dawn of a new age of scientific discovery. "I understand the concern," Sarah addressed the assembly, quantum equations flowing around her like a celestial dance. "But this isn't about power, it's about understanding. We've discovered that evolution isn't just a response to environment. It's a dialogue with the universe itself." Dr. Kark stepped forward, all four arms gesturing expressively. "Our latest findings suggest that Earth itself might have been a catalyst for this development. The very challenges that made it a death world also made it an evolutionary crucible." Sarah nodded, causing ripples in the quantum field. "Every disease we fought, every environmental challenge we faced, they weren't just obstacles to overcome. They were teaching us, preparing us for this moment." The chamber's AI systems struggled to process the quantum fluctuations emanating from Sarah's presence, eventually giving up and playing what it considered appropriate background music for a cosmic revelation. "But what happens now?" asked a representative from the collective consciousness of Rigel. "How does this change our understanding of life itself?" Sarah smiled, and in that smile was the wisdom of quantum infinity. Now we learn together. Human DNA might have been the key that unlocked this potential, but the lock exists in all living things. We're not meant to be the only ones who can do this." To demonstrate, she reached out with her quantum awareness, gently touching the biological structures of those around her. The chamber filled with gasps as representatives began to feel the first stirrings of quantum resonance in their own cellular structures. "This isn't an ending," Sarah continued, her words echoing with possibility. "It's a beginning, a new chapter in the story of life itself. And yes," she added with a grin, "I did finally finish my PhD thesis, though I had to create a new branch of physics to explain it properly." Director Omega's energy form expanded with what might have been joy. "We stand at a crossroads. The galaxy will never be the same. That's the point," Sarah replied, quantum light dancing in her eyes. "Evolution isn't about staying the same. It's about becoming what we're meant to be, all of us, together." As the assembly absorbed these revelations, Sarah began teaching the first principles of quantum biology to an eager audience. The barriers between species began to fade as understanding grew. In the space between atoms, in the dance of quantum probability, all life was connected. The laboratory's AI, having finally given up on conventional protocols, decided to document this historic moment in its own way. Its final entry read, Day 742 of human observation. Subject has transcended conventional existence, revolutionized our understanding of evolution, and somehow still maintains a healthy interest in mobile gaming. Conclusion. Humanity's greatest strength may not be their ability to survive anything, but their capacity to face the extraordinary with remarkable ordinary grace. And in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, amid the swirling energies of quantum possibility, the next chapter in the story of life began to unfold. Humanity had not just survived, they had shown the way forward for all life in the cosmos. Sarah looked out at the assembled representatives, now all beginning to glow with their own quantum potential. "So," she said with that characteristically human mix of the profound and casual, "who's up for learning how to rewrite the laws of physics? I promise it's easier than organic chemistry." The universe, it seemed, couldn't help but laugh along with her. Evolution had found its voice, and it spoke with a human accent.